illnesses, tattoos, events they loved or hated. I don't know, lemons. You know, a funny story that a pumpkin went on fire at Halloween. Something I couldn't know. The basic, they love you, they miss you, oh, you're going through a tough time, just doesn't come out of my mouth. Granted, if in fact I've given my evidence, which for me is 3 to 5 or 5 to 8 pieces of evidence, depending on how strong the evidence is, then if I'm told that, I'll be happy to tell you that they love you. But suffice it to say, if they've connected to you through me, they love you and you're here. So that's what an evidential medium is.
I have to imagine, you know, we all have intuition, we all have that inner sense, that inner voice. But you must have a heightened intuition. You must, throughout the course of a day, just throughout your life, you must, it's not that you hear voices, but you must have an ability to process and to internalize and to really take a read of a room or a situation. I can't imagine that your skills are just confounded to connecting with those who have passed.
No, not at all. I worked as a psychic starting in 1993. I didn't begin mediumship until 8 years ago.
So what was the transition? How did one go to the other?
It transitioned me. It was due to a tragic event, if you will, where a friend of mine, which I laugh, her name is Whitney, of all names. When I pulled up here the first time, I was like, okay, she did this, died in my hands. And it was a process, and I crossed her over. It was she and I alone in a room at a hospital. And during that time, I heard in my head, you're a medium, and I've always thought, I've been fascinated, but I thought, this can't be true. I'm sleep deprived, I'm having some kind of breakdown here because my friend is dying. And I saw her come out of her body and a lot of odd events. And from that crossing over and passing, I, within a week, had met a medium. It was crazy. And started reading books and studying again. And then I sat in with a medium for a year on her groups. And it's a muscle you exercise. And really from day one, once I stood in front of a group, I never stopped standing in front of groups. And people were crying. I was coming out with things that just shocked me.
Well, you do groups, and we're going to get into that. You're very accessible for people in Westchester, Northern, and Southern, so we will get into all of that as well. So it's a skill that you've honed and you've perfected. You've studied. You've taken courses. I mean, this is something that, you know, it's a God-given gift, and you know, it's something that's inherent in you, but you can still fine-tune it, and that you have done.
It's an absolute muscle. I find a lot of people are out there doing mediumship without any training at all, and I'm not a fan of that. There are people that are deeper trained than I am. They'll train for years but never actually do it. Mm-hmm. I'm training every single day doing my work, but I have trained, and it's a muscle I've worked on, and I keep working on to perfect.
I would say that the downside to somebody who does this on a whim without any type of proper training or even credentials for that matter is that you give a sense of false hope. I mean, everybody wants a message. Everybody wants to know that they're still there, they being the person who has passed. But you really can run the risk of giving somebody a false or shattered hope or message, which there's just something so wrong about that, in my opinion. So making sure that if you are going to take this step and speak to somebody, that you're speaking to the right person, you know, and not enough can be said about that.
There really can't. I've trained mediums and I've worked with them, and I spend a lot of time on ethics and morals, and that you've got someone's mental stability in front of you. I mean,
right, that's very true.
I've had to really pull people out of the depths because they've gone to mediums, and what I've heard them say is just shocking and devastating. You also can't control how your sitter views what you say. So I had a reading yesterday, and she had said to me, so you're saying X, Y, and Z. I said, that's not what I said at all. It's not what I said. That's how you took it. I'm so glad she clarified that, because that's not what I meant. So we can't control everything.
Right.
You certainly have a responsibility morally and ethically to who is in front of you.
And people tend to hear what they want, regardless of the subject matter. No, but again, I mean, I can lend some credence in the sense that I've met with you now 3 times. You've done the show, and 3 times we've spoken beforehand, and me being in the line of work that I am, it would be very easy just to start throwing things out there at me, and likely something's going to stick eventually. But it's very specific. You've given me some very inspirational messages, and there's just been a tremendous comfort. You've connected kind of random names that were valid. So again, things that you wouldn't have known about me, you can't go on my website and read them on my bio. So if I can vouch for you, I'm happy to do that. And I send people to you who have felt, the same way when they left. So I want to talk about the most common questions that you are asked. And I hear this all the time. People will say, when they lose someone, I just want to know they're okay. Are they okay? And some people just need to hear that. I had a cousin who lost a son tragically playing high school football. And I remember this. She would just say, I need to know John's okay. I need to know he's okay. So the okay can mean, yes, they're happy, they're out of pain, they're in a better place. But what does that mean for you to answer someone and say, yes, they are okay? What do you base that answer on?
That's interesting, because I have to remove my philosophy in knowing they're okay versus me getting it from the spirit person. Okay. Because I know they're okay, but that's not really what they're asking me. They want me to connect, I believe, and I feel I should connect to that person and give that answer, not my belief system. So, for me, if I can connect to your spirit person, they're okay, because I don't get earthbound spirits. I don't get spirits that haven't transitioned. I only get spirit people that have gotten to a certain vibration of crossing, because there's different levels, I believe. So if I get them, they're okay. So that's number one. Then I have to connect to them through my evidence to believe I have them. And then they share funny stories with me. They let me know what you're doing. They'll tell me what you ate for breakfast. You lost some jewelry, whatever, which we did today for you.
But they didn't tell me where I could find it.
Yeah, it's like the winning lotto ticket.
Stopped a little short of that.
But it's proving continuity of life that they're okay. And then I have to wait to do it that way.
And another common question is, are they together? And I know there's such a tremendous comfort, again, my personal belief system, but the families that I sit with every day, you do take comfort in knowing that your loved ones now join others who have passed before them. There is a comfort in knowing that while we might feel lonely here through their passing, there's not that same loneliness there. There were other people there to greet them. And, so much of this is dependent on your views of a heaven or an afterlife. You have to be open to receiving messages. You have to have some degree of belief, or else none of what we're talking about will matter to you. But you hear that a lot. Are they together?
Always. I hear that. Now I will bring them through. I'll bring through a mother, I'll bring through a father, and then I'll be asked, are they together? So obviously for the moment that I'm getting them, they are coming through together.
Are they in different sections of heaven and different rooms?
Well, they may be at different levels, but for the time I'm connecting to them, they are, yes. I have never, even with my own father dying and with my friend dying in front of me, you could see they saw people. I mean, from almost coma states to open their eyes and look, my father even said, they're here. So there's never I don't believe anybody that crosses over where somebody isn't there to greet them.
I totally believe that as well. This is a very interesting question, and I think that this demonstrates right here the power of what you can give to somebody. When a death has occurred and the people may not have been on the best of terms, or there was some unspoken, unresolved issue or unspoken tension, you might get asked, are they mad at me? And what a terrible way to go through life feeling that you had some type of unresolved negative issue and wonder if a person took that with them. That type of connection, when you make that and you give someone that peace of mind to say, no, they're not mad at you, or it's okay, you really must give somebody their life back in those moments.
It's really actually what does happen. And it is a horrible burden for the people left here if they were not speaking to somebody or in a fight with somebody and then they pass, because you feel that you can't heal that.
Right. No, it's unresolved.
So what will happen in a reading, I'll look at somebody and say, oh, your father's telling me there was an unresolved problem. And then usually they break down and cry if that's true. And then I can bring through evidence about what it was about, this and that. You can't cross to the other side. You simply can't, with the baggage of anger, bitterness, greed, jealousy, any of it. You can't.
You can't cross through this life like that. You can't function like that.
So can you imagine trying to, and since they have proven what I do is real through quantum physics of frequency, energy, and vibration, how can you cross holding that? They've also shown that the universe itself vibrates to the frequency of love, the same vibration. So somehow, though I'm not a scientist, I do study this, they've managed to find out it's the same one. So you could never cross over if you don't shed that behind you. So the spirit people don't feel that way, but it's we humans that psychologically need to heal that, because going through life with that will make you sick. It's a heavy burden.
It's so true. And then, following that, people might want to know, are they mad at me? Are they disappointed in me? We tend to impose so much unnecessary guilt upon ourselves. So just that validation that, maybe the evidence comes through that they know specifically what you have an issue, and that they'll give you some type of acknowledgement, or, I think what you do has so much power to heal the living. And to help you just kind of remove these emotional shackles that weigh people down, and you kind of give people an ability to move forward. You kind of give them a way to accept loss and then move forward, knowing that they're moving forward with that other person with them. And I think that's a beautiful gift to be able to give to somebody.
It's very healing. I used to think I only worked for my sitters, and then I realized I work for the spirit people too, because some of them may have some things they have to heal down here as part of their contract over there. So if I can merge the two worlds literally and have them work it out, it helps the living and those that have crossed.
Very interesting. Very interesting. And then another common question that you're asked is that if someone will say to you, my loved one did not have a strong religious faith, they didn't go to church, will they be okay? That's always a $6 million question.
I have not found in my mediumship experience that if someone does not have a strong religious belief system, that they don't cross over or they're not happy. In fact, arguably, not being steeped in a religious doctrine, a specific religious doctrine, may open you up to actually cross over easier, because if in fact you're so rigid in your human beliefs that you must see St. Peter or you must see so-and-so before you cross, and if you don't see them, it's kind of like the old adage when they say there's a flood and the person's praying to Jesus, please help me, and the boat comes by, no, I'm waiting for Jesus, a plane comes by, no, and he's like, I've been sending you things.
Yeah, that would be me.
So, if those that are opened, there's books been written about it, can tend to cross over quicker. I have not seen that at all, that does not happen. I have heard through studying that if in fact you turn your back on faith and have no belief and are angry, that you get stuck, and that's not quite as easy. It's what I've studied and read. My people have experienced, as long as there's an openness, I can connect to them, they have crossed over.
If you are just joining us this afternoon on 1460 WVOX or on Facebook Live on the Time to Talk with Jen Graziano page, I'm speaking with Carla Blaha. She is an evidential medium, and what we are discussing are common questions that she gets when she's with sitters, and sitter will be the person you're reading.
Yes.
And people come to a medium really because they want answers and comfort. Above all, comfort is the number one reason I'm sure people come to you. They want some validation. They want some type of acknowledgement that, I think that's the hardest part of death, is that it separates the physical realm. We can't see them. We can't touch them. We can't hear their voice. We can't go and visit them. You can't go to them with your problem and unburden yourself. And that physical separation, that physical detachment is so hard. People will comfort you and say, they're always in your hearts. They're always with you. And they are. But it's almost like going to you ties that all together a little bit more. So many people come to you privately and through groups, and we're going to talk about where you can find Carla. She does monthly groups over in Bronxville. She's available by appointment and has a shop up in northern Westchester.
Not my shop.
But you're out of a shop, and you do readings up there too. And we'll get to all of that, I'm sure, before the close of the show. But other feelings that you have about the other side in grief. Your message to people who come to you is that people who have crossed over are happy. negative feelings don't exist in that realm. How do you know that? What do you base that upon?
I base that on the mere fact I can get them, and they seem joyous and share funny stories. Some of them can be very, very funny and witty. I've yet to see anything negative. I don't vibrate low like that, so I don't see that. I have had a few people. When I say a few, I read thousands of people, so it's more than a few.
Right.
A handful, though, not a lot, who have, some who have taken their own lives, some who have regret, and they are struggling a bit. They're over there, but they, like I said earlier, they really do have to heal something. So I have to really work that communication with the people here and them to get them a little happier.
What is your responsibility, though, when you do receive a message like the ones you're just describing of somebody with the regret or with the struggle? Do you deliver that message to the person on this side who's looking to connect with them?
Diplomatically, again, there's the responsibility in that, because I have to tell the truth, but I have to be careful and cautious with who I'm speaking to, that this is a person with emotions, and I don't know them, so I don't know how they'll react.
So that gets back to the knowing your sitter, knowing your
audience. Knowing your sitter, using instinct and common sense, and handling it properly.
And then your message is that not only are they happy and positive vibes and positive energy exist there, but they want that for here. You say once the lower frequency feelings are gone, all that is left is love in the universe. And as you say, that's the same frequency to which the universe vibrates. I've never heard that before, so I learned something today. But our loved ones see how insignificant it is to energetically grieve so long. So they want us to let go of that. Again, is that evidenced by messages that you receive? Is this training that you received? How do you know that component?
It's both, but it's messages I've received. When I've trained with other mediums who also get the same messages. Those that have crossed understand that we have soul contracts and things to do here. And grief is part of it. But we are put here to be our highest and best good and to achieve things and be joyous. We are not here to wallow in sorrow for 10 years and make our own self sick. The problem with grief is, and none of us are escaping grief. We're just not going to. We're not going to escape death. None of us. Right. No matter who we are or where we live in the world.
It's
the only common thread we have, really. So if you are wallowing in grief for an extended period of time, you're probably not fulfilling your soul contract.
You're not doing the work that you're set here to do.
Right. So you're meant to grieve. If you don't grieve, it's not healthy. But some of us, the problem is we get trapped in this hammock of grief, and that actually holds us closer to our loved one. It actually is a safety net. It becomes an anchor.
Right.
And you feel if you let go of that anchor, you let go of that grief.
And then you let go of the loved one. Right.
When in fact, by letting them go and allowing them to go higher, and you to go higher, you actually get more communication with them through signs, dreams, or however you receive it.
That's interesting, because you'll always hear people say, I want to dream about them. Why can't I dream about them? You'll always hear that. And let's talk a little bit about dreams, if you can speak to that, because I always believe there's a message in it somewhere. I always find personally that, certain people in my family that I have lost will come through in a dream. And I always wake up feeling like I know why. And it's such an amazing thing to connect that. But what does the evidence suggest about dreams and connections? Are there messages that are being sent through dreams, or just all coincidence?
Well, my feeling on coincidence is it doesn't
there is
exist. There's dreams and then there's visitations. Not every dream with a loved one is an actual visitation. If you're dreaming of a loved one and it's negative, angry, and they're mad at you and they're chastising you, that's your own psyche dumping out psychological stuff. Okay? If you have that dream that's clear, lucid, and you feel as if it happened and that you'll never forget it, there's not a lot of talk there. So it's usually telepathic, or they just stand there and look at you. We've all had them. I mean, I have a dream I can remember for the past 25 years. But not everybody does dream. So you said something about people, how come I don't dream about my loved ones? I don't dream about my loved ones. Have I? Yes. Do I generally? Absolutely not.
Okay.
Maybe because I do this and I'm a big sign person and I get tons of signs, but many clients of mine will tell me they get very vivid dreams. And that's a visitation. There is a difference.
Okay, that's very interesting. So why do some of us feel that we receive signs more than others? Is it just openness and receptiveness?
Basically, I believe in signs are my thing. The chapter in the book I wrote, there's a chapter in the book I'm
That's
writing.
Right. We want to talk
teach signs. I mean, signs are my thing because I am human and I want the concrete sign as much as everybody else. If you're grieving really hard, you're not going to be able to see the sign. Like if your head is down, even like this physically or metaphorically, you don't see what's around you. You don't see the bird in the tree. You don't see the penny on the ground. You don't see it. You can't. Not to mention, and again, I'll go back to this quantum physics and the science of this, if you have such an energy and a wall built up, they can't get to you. So openness is key. Now people say, well, maybe that's a coincidence. I've done that many times. I've asked for a sign. I'm like, okay, so can I have another one? And then I've asked for 5 or 6 of the same signs, and then it's like sign abuse. 1, 2, or 3 is fine, but you have to let go of it to be able to see it. You have to. If you're looking for that sign, you'll never, ever find it. Just let go and have faith.
Just let go and see
the key with signs, though, I have to say, is they don't always come in the form that you ask for. And you always use the rose as an example, which I don't suggest anyone use because it's a pretty obvious one, and you might debunk that. But if you did use the rose, someone might jump up and throw a rose in your face. That would be really cool. But you may bump into an old friend you haven't seen in 20 years, and she's with her daughter, and she said, this is my daughter, Rose. You could be at a doctor's office, open a magazine, and you open mid-magazine, and there's a rose on it. So signs come sometimes in a different form than you expect.
Carla, where can our listeners and our viewers find you? Can they do private appointments, or can they come to your workshops? Where are you?
Well, my website is carlablaha.com. I read weekly in Brewster, New York at Synchronicity, and then I do a group there every month and teach classes. And I read on the weekends occasionally. I do private groups all the time. That's why I don't read a lot on the weekends there. I work at Soloris in Briarcliff Manor and do private readings there in groups.
And your website has all the locations of where you are?
It does. And now I have found Herbal Apothecary. I've been in Bronxville, New York, where I've been just starting this year to do groups at.
And the title of your book, and where can it be purchased?
It's Amazon.com. It's Get Your Vibe Back. It's an ebook now. It's going into paperback, and there's another one. Hopefully, will be finished soon.
Get your vibe back. I love the sound of that. Again, like I started the show with saying, you're either going to believe or you're not going to believe. But there's a lot of hope and a lot of encouragement to be found for those who believe. So maybe you help convert some non-believers today. I certainly think you're great at what you do. And again, the website is carlablaha.com, BLAHA.
Yes.
carlablaha.com. You can find out where she will be, how you can book a private appointment. Is the book available on your site or just through Amazon?
It's on my site as well, but you have to go through Amazon.
Go through Amazon. And get your vibe back. Don't we all need to get our vibe back? Isn't that right, everybody? I definitely thank you, and I think that there's lots of great work in store for you. Now, you said in Bronxville, that's your newest one. That's weekly or monthly?
Monthly, maybe other month. We don't want to overkill it.
Only one way to find out. Go to the website. Thank you, Carla. Thank you for your time. And this is Jen Graziano thanking you for taking the time to listen as we took the time to talk. Have a great day, Westchester. Bye-bye.